But more recently, there was this fucking headline. I'm on YouTube, right? I'm watching videos, I'm winding down, and I go to one of my favorite shows, the Pat McAfee show, and I see a clip come up, and it's like, what the fuck is this? And it's titled something like NBA ref admits to rigging games, and I'm like, okay, all right, folks, is this the Tim Donaghy clip? Is this like a throwback clip that they posted? No. So for those of you who aren't aware, the whole Tim Donaghy thing is back in 2007. Tim Donaghy was charged, and he was charged with like literally working with like criminal enterprise to rig the outcome of NBA games. A lot of people look at that like I think it was the Lakers Kings series that was like up in question, and there's a couple other different playoff series, but like basically he admitted to like rigging games to cover spreads and to cover over unders and whatever and all this other shit. But there's actually a ref that is a legit ref that came out, and he said that there's selective calls going on, and he's on video saying this. And this season, officiating has been really inconsistent, and a lot of people have been complaining. And it was the instance where it was in Game 2 of the NBA Finals, and Draymond Green and Jaylen Brown kind of got into it, and this ref came out, and he's a referee analyst, and his name is Steve Javi, and he basically spoke about this incident and admitted that the refs bend the rules depending upon the circumstances of the game. So Green already had a tech, and another one would have gotten him ejected. So he made the point that with that information in mind, the refs chose to just let the situation play out, which is kind of dumb because if you give the guy a tech normally, right, then why wouldn't you give him one there? It's just so silly, right? And the whole league, like when you look at all these sports leagues, the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, I guess the MLS, which isn't really a fucking league in America, but whatever. I guess people watch it. Maybe it's on in like, nursing homes, or it's like a CNN situation where, they pay to get the play in the airports and all that. I don't know if you know about that, but that's a whole nother can of worms. But, they got to go to game 7, right? Game 7 of the World Series, game 7 of the Stanley Cup, game 7 of the NBA Finals. Like, that's where they make the most revenue, right? Because they're able to sell more ad spots on television and sell more tickets and, all this other jazz that comes with that. But here's what he was quoted with saying, and Twitter went nuts on this. The quote is, the two guys were going after each other. You have to consider one player has definitely a technical foul. Is it enough to call a double T and eject the one player? Personally, I would say nothing and just let it diffuse as that. And people went nuts. So a couple of verified accounts responding. So Roosh on Twitter goes, Steve Javi is on live TV admitting that referees ignore the rule book to factor in ejecting Draymond. That is so damn ridiculous. Then we got Ben Dubose, who says Steve Javi, the NBA's lead officiating analyst, is openly suggesting on the league's official broadcast that the standard for a technical is different when a player has a technical in a big game. This is a remarkable example of saying the quiet part out loud. So, I mean, all these people who get pissed about, their team getting screwed in a big game, or the team itself getting screwed in a big game, like, do they have valid points here? I mean, does the league have a duty to ensure that calls are made fairly and that there's uniform enforcing of these calls in big games? Or is it like it's just entertainment and people need to fucking move on? Like, what do you think about this? Because I know you're a big NBA guy like me.
Well, I mean, the NBA is it's a big franchise. They just recently had COVID, and they shortened the season. They missed a lot of games, so they want to like make sure they maximize their revenue this year and making sure series go as long as possible. So that has something to do with how games are called. If a team's down 2-1, they don't want the series to go 3-1 because then the series is going to be shorter. So they'll give more calls to the team that's down 2-1 in the series so that the owners can make more revenue off of tickets and merchandise, etc., in the stadium in that regard. But yeah, I don't think people like fans show up. They don't want to see Draymond Green get thrown out. It makes the game more boring. So yeah, I think you have to like look at the situation and when making calls, and you don't want to throw somebody out of the game for something like that in the NBA Finals because that's going to upset a lot of people, and it's going to cause less people to be NBA fans, and it's going to cause less revenue for the NBA as a whole entire league.